Hello once again, race fans. Welcome back to another episode of the NASCAR Show. I'm your host, Alex Gray, along here with Steve Risley and Bobby Sheridan of the Sheridan Report. Today we're going to discuss some NASCAR news as well as some NASCAR discussions. I'll go ahead and throw out a few bits of news that have come out, especially today. First off, it has been confirmed that NASCAR is confirming that they are going to switch their Champions Week banquet, which has been held in Las Vegas for about the last 10 years. It's now going to be moved to Nashville, Tennessee, the Music City. NASCAR President Steve Phelps said, "This year we set a course to look at everything we do through a different lens, including how we celebrate the champions of our sport." Honestly, I think this is a great move. I think Nashville is perfect for the NASCAR market, and plus it's closer for me, and if I can, I'd love to go, actually. That'd be really cool. Nashville will start hosting the NASCAR Cup Champions Banquet, so that's really exciting. Other bits of news. Okay,
so question for you here. Where do they do the burnouts? Because they always did the burnouts on Las Vegas Boulevard, and they made the big deal about parading all the cars down, and everybody got to, blow their tires up and blow their cars up. And, where are they doing it now in Vegas? Or not in Vegas, I'm sorry, in Nashville. What road are they going to use? I guess it's Beale Street. Beale Street's in Memphis, isn't it?
I think.
Bobby, is Beale Street in Memphis?
Sure is.
Yeah, and so what's the big street in Nashville? Where is it? Printers Row? Is it Printers Row? Or what is the what's the big street where all the bars are? I've been there a bunch of times.
I'm zooming in on
Printers Alley.
Oh, okay.
I think my wife's telling me Printers Alley because she's listening to everything I say. So, she edits everything I say, which gets me in a lot of trouble. So now we're going to do the burnout on Printers Alley instead. It's one of the Bluebird Cafe. Bobby, is that right? Isn't that?
Well, it sounds right to me.
Yeah, I know.
It sounds
I make
right
shit up as I go along. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good move. I mean, so here's the question, guys. And we'll move on. Is this another signal that NASCAR is getting back into a regional sport and back into its roots? They used to do a lot of crap in New York City. I think they had the banquet there a few times. And then they went to Vegas, and now they're going back to Nashville. So Bobby and Alex, I get Mike on my brain. Is this thing going back to a regional sport? Is NASCAR becoming more of a regional sport again?
I think NASCAR knows where the base of their fan base is. They know where it is. NASCAR's always been the biggest in the Southeast. And, of course, in other places in the country, NASCAR is actually pretty popular, too, but I consider them niche markets, like out west. I think NASCAR is more of a niche sport rather than, the Southeast, NASCAR is more bigger. So I think NASCAR knows that, hey, Nashville's a good spot. It's in our big popular region. So, yeah, there's a possibility that they are trying to shift back to regional, but I think they are trying to build within that region again, too. There's a possibility of that.
And Bobby, is NASCAR a good fit for pari-mutuel betting? I mean, is this kind of like the next coming of horse racing where you kind of have the windows all there, you go to the track, you bet? I mean, is this a great fit? Is pari-mutuel betting a great fit for NASCAR?
I think it can be. I think it will be for a good segment of their fans. I don't know if we're going to pull in non-race fans just to bet because there's so many other, sports to bet on that they might be, more used to betting on. But I think for the already NASCAR fans, I do think it's going to be nice for them. But it'll be interesting to see. That will be interesting to see.
Well, then the question becomes, Bobby, is does NASCAR profit more off of pari-mutuel betting than, say, NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA? Because they are a more regional-based sport, do they get a bigger intake because people will become more excited about betting there, even though it's a smaller base? But does it become a better deal for NASCAR to get into pari-mutuel betting than, say, it does for the NFL? Because the NFL is so damn big. Who cares?
Well, the thing is, I see where you're going with that, and I see the angle you're taking, and I think you're right. But on the overall, it just pales in comparison to the major sports, especially
but to NASCAR. But I mean, think about it to the franchise of NASCAR. Does it benefit NASCAR more to be in pari-mutuel than it does NFL to be in NASCAR or NFL to be in pari-mutuel betting?
Well, I think they're definitely excited about that prospect of it with the legalization in the states that are hosting most of these races. Because let's face it, everybody wants to get in on a good thing, but where it goes, I'm not sure. It's still, I think, open. We know where it's already gone with football and basketball. We already know.
I keep telling you on April 1st, I'm sending you my $2,000. You're going to bet baseball for me all summer long, and I'm going to walk away with a new Ford F-150. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to wait. You're going to just deliver it to me at the end of the summer. I was like, I've got a new F-150 King Cab coming from your brother's dealership somewhere out there in the Inland Container or Inland Valley, wherever it's at. And, I'm just going to let you bet it.
His is in it's in Glendora, the one he's working at now. But
I'm not going to ask the question. So what other news we got? What other news? Yeah. What other news we got, Alex? What else? Jeffrey Earnhardt, what happened there today? What's going on we got an Earnhardt back in racing. Is that true?
Yeah, Jeffrey's been racing he's been doing some racing for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series. Pretty impressive runs at Daytona and Atlanta. Apparently he was on the Dale Jr. Download, Dale Jr.'s podcast yesterday, I believe. And apparently he said that it was mentioned that Jeffrey Earnhardt is planning to go full-time in the Cup Series next season with a team called Extreme Concepts Racing, which is his sponsor. Basically, the team, they're going to run a couple Cup races this year, I believe both Talladega races, and it'll be numbered 81. This will be a separate team, but they will have basically a tech alliance with Joe Gibbs, probably a bigger alliance than Levine Family Racing with 95. So think of this as potentially maybe the next Furniture Row. We'll see. Maybe Jeffrey Earnhardt wins a championship in a few years.
I mean, I still think it takes talent to win championships. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
name's not going to get it done. So, yeah.
It's hard to win a championship. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What, any again, for the third week now, we're 3 races into this, any penalties that came out of the last race? Any penalties that we need to be concerned about? Nobody got shit canned, so to speak. Speeding penalties in pit lane. But has this, has the what they've done with the penalties, and now said if you cheat, you lose the race.
Mm-hmm.
Has that changed the narrative?
It might have changed the narrative. It's either that or potentially, and I know at some point somebody's going to get the DQ, as I like to call it. Somebody's going to get Dairy Queen. Sure. But because it's
going to be Harvick. I guarantee you it's going to be Harvick.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I think some of these teams probably may think that way. Other teams may think, okay, let's see how far we can push until NASCAR busts us. That's another mentality too.
Well, I mean, Bobby, is it fair to say it's never cheating until you get caught?
Well, I mean, those guys. Yeah, I mean, that's just in sports. You're going to push the limits. You're going to push the envelope on where you can, and in this particular sport, for speed. And those guys they'll just adapt to this new stuff, and they'll see where they can get away with certain things. There's going to be somebody take a hit.
Bobby, you just made a great statement that both of you guys address this. What's more important now? Is it aero or is it speed? Bobby, I don't know what I'm asking the question. What's more important, Alex, aero or speed?
It's definitely important to find speed in the car. Now, of course, people may expect me to say I think it's a little bit of both, and I want to say that, but speed's important, and as well as being able to, with this aero package, being able to catch up to others. So I think just being fast is obviously in NASCAR. You have to be
all right,
fast.
But do we have any statistics anywhere you can find to say what is the average speed from first to 38th or 40th in qualifying? I mean, it can't be more than 2 miles an hour off, correct? I mean, I just don't know that for a fact, but I don't think you're going to have a 185 mile an hour car racing with a 155 mile an hour car. So as I know it, I mean, when you talk about the top 12 that go into the final stage of qualifying, you're splitting hairs. You're talking thousands of seconds. So speed, really, how important is speed? What's it matter if they're going 150 or 180 or 190? I mean, it's like I think it's aero and being able to handle your car in traffic and get out in clean air and, you know, be able to, if you can't get in clean air, you've got to be talented enough, like a Kyle Busch, to drive the car in dirty air and run it behind somebody else. And, you know, the aero package becomes more important than speed, because if you're behind somebody, if Chase Elliott is behind Kyle Busch and Chase has got a better aero package, he's going to be able to side draft him, pull up, get along with him, and then eventually get down low on the bottom of the track, which is where you want to run, and pull ahead of him. Where, you know, Kyle Larson, again, he runs the top of the track all the time. He's always up there. I think it's their aero package in the Ganassi cars is not that good. Fair or unfair?
Yeah, I see what you mean where it comes from aero and being able to make those kind of aggressive moves, especially you saw Keselowski nearly chase down his teammate to win at Vegas, and he was just so close. I think if he had another lap, he would have gotten Logano. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from there.
So who's got the best aero? Who's got the best aero package right now? What team? Is it Penske? Is it Gibbs? Is it Haas? Hendrick? Nowhere to be seen. Who's got the best aero going right now?
I'd say as of right now, probably Penske. Just knowing the fact that they've won the first 2 or 3 races this season.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're going to
be... So in other words, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bobby. Go ahead. I don't mean to talk over you. I apologize.
Well, I mean, those guys and Gibbs are going to be heard from this weekend, too. You know, I mean, Harvick is the big favorite in this race, but, you know...
Well, it's his track, yeah.
You know, those drivers behind him from those teams are going to be heard from. There's no doubt. I mean, Kyle Busch and Hamlin, Logano, you know.
Yeah, they know them.
So Bobby, I want to get you involved in this because I love having you being part of the show.
Well,
you bring so much to the
Be
table.
careful, though. Be careful.
No, I know that. And so I don't want to put you on a spot, but I'm going to put you on a spot.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Hendrick?
Oh, gosh, I could not answer that. I would be the wrong person because I don't like to talk.
But you're a fan. I mean, are you watching NASCAR now, or are you just betting on NASCAR?
A little bit. I mean, I barely bet. You know, I just I enjoy it. I have fun with it. I like watching the races, but I don't know what you guys know, and I don't have the time to learn, you know, as much as you guys do. But what's wrong with Hendrick? I mean, he's probably just not adapting as well as the other teams, and it goes in cycles. You know, that's just the way sports is, and he'll be back. You know, because he's great. You know, he's been there and he'll come back. And you know, that's just how I think about it. I try not to overthink it. You know.
All right, I apologize for. I knew I'd put you on a spot on that question because it's.
That's okay.
I have opinions. Alex, what is wrong with Hendrick Motorsports? What are they failing at right now?
All right, so I definitely believe that team dominance goes in cycles. Now, number one, I think Chevy as a whole is having problems, but I'll get to that in a second. Maybe part of it might have been with, you know, Jeff Gordon retiring, Dale Jr. retiring, but then, you know, I look at Bowman, Byron, and Elliott. I think they all got talent. Bowman, pretty good season last year, despite not winning. Chase Elliott, he broke out at the end of last year. William Byron, I think he'll do a little bit better this year. Obviously, you know, he won Rookie of the Year last year, but it was between him and Bubba Wallace. But honestly, I am worried for Hendrick, but I also start to wonder if this is a Chevy thing. The more I think about this, because I don't know, and some people think that Hendrick may go down the same path as Roush. When you look at Roush, mid-2000s, 5 cars, half of them made the chase in 2006, and then
can I throw a word out there to you? Can I
Yes.
throw a word out, and you can address the word complacency?
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Complacency. Roush got complacent. They got fat and happy. They were winning everything for a while.
Mm-hmm.
As Hendrick got complacent, they just kind of stopped improving.
It's possible. When you go back to the mid to late 2000s, it was Roush versus Hendrick most of the time. And, Roush lost, to put in comparison, Roush lost Kenseth. Roush lost Edwards. Biffle started to decline as a driver. And then nothing against, Ricky Stenhouse, who has struggled in recent years, and Trevor Bayne, 2-car organization. Now they have Stenhouse and a veteran in Ryan Newman. I don't know if Hendrick's necessarily going to go down in the same path as Roush, but there is that concern. And if they continue to perform the way they do, now obviously they're still winning races. I mean, Chase Elliott, he's been the top dog.
No, he won 3 races last year. I mean, and no, he really. I mean, for the equipment I think they underachieved all year. I think that as good a driver as Chase is, I think he's better than the equipment he's driving right now. Is that fair or unfair?
Yeah, excuse me. I definitely see where you're coming from, especially looking at Chevy's performance. And, I'm going to exclude Daytona because Daytona's Daytona. Looking at Atlanta,
Daytona's Daytona. Yeah, you can't predict anything off Daytona, no doubt.
Kyle Larson showed speed, and then obviously he had the penalty at Atlanta. To me right now, I'm actually starting to wonder if Ganassi looks like the best Chevy team right now. I know it's weird to say, but
no, I think you're spot on.
Yeah, Kurt Busch running well. I didn't expect that. I used to perform a little bit, and it's only been 3 races, but I'm actually really impressed with Chip Ganassi racing with Felix Sabates. Kyle Larson, lots of talent. He'll win a race or 2 this year. Last year came very close quite a few times to winning a race. Bristol in the spring had that great battle with Kyle Busch, and then he and Busch had that insane, quoting Dale Jr., slide job battle at Chicagoland. But, yeah, Ganassi right now looks like the top Chevy team. Obviously, there's still time for Hendrick to turn it around, but it looks like the beginning of 2018. That's why there is that concern.
Yeah. How many Chevy teams are there right now? Are there 3? Because I got RCR, Hendrick, and Ganassi. Are there any more Chevy teams out there than those 3?
Oh, yeah. There's JTG Daughtery. That's the 47 and the 47. Yeah. Precinct Busch.
Yeah. Good call.
Starcom Racing. That's the 00 and occasionally the 99. You got the smaller teams that kind of run multiple manufacturers like Rick Ware Racing, Tommy Baldwin Racing.
Okay, and so where are all the Chevy teams buying their equipment from? Are they buying it from Hendrick?
It's really a split between Hendrick and ECR. Excuse me.
ECR. Who's ECR? RCR?
Earnhardt Childress. My bad.
Yeah, so it's Richard Childress Racing. Yeah, RCR. Right?
Oh, that's right. Richard Petty Motorsports is Chevy team too, and Germain.
Richard Petty's Chevy? They're not Chevy.
Last year they switched to Chevy in 2018 with I think a alliance with Richard Childress. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Come on, man.
I don't know. Good Pastor's tweeting me right now, so I got to deal with him too. And hell, good golly, Miss Molly. Okay, takeaways from the last race. What are we seeing? Penske's the big dog right now.
Yeah, definitely. Penske's the top dog. Keselowski and Logano, and don't count out Ryan Blaney. He's been up there. I know Penske hasn't had as much success in recent years when they've had a third car, but Ryan Blaney's a good driver. He's a very good driver. Won the Roval race last year. I think he'll get a win or 2 this year. So, yeah, I think Penske, Stuart Haas, top dog.
And is Blaney still an affiliate team with Penske, correct?
Oh, yeah, Blaney's actually racing for Penske now. The Wood Brothers is still an alliance with Penske, but that is Paul Menard. Paul Menard.
And what's the deal there? Because Menard's dad owns Menard's, and who's driving the Menard's car? Who's driving the yellow Menard's car now?
Basically, Menard's actually splits the Cup sponsorship between Ryan Blaney and Paul Menard.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. All right, Bobby, we're going to Phoenix. Mile track. Things get serious now. You're coming out west. The West Coast Swing. You and I are going to head to Auto Club Speedway here pretty shortly, I hope.
Yeah.
Does the game change now? I mean, we get down to back to racing. We're off the mile and a half for a few weeks. What happens? What's the predictions?
Well, I mean, let's go straight to this race. That's I just look one race at a time, and I do a little bit of researching, and Kevin Harvick, as you guys know, is just a big favorite here because he's just owned this track. He has 5 wins at this event, and he's never finished worse than 6th in his last 11 appearances here. So
really?
This makes him yes. And this
I
makes
did not
him
know
a
that.
solid yeah, it makes him a solid favorite, and somebody that you'd have to, if you had to bet your life, but this is not a good bet because he's listed as less than 3-1. I mean, you're only getting with the initial odds that I'm seeing plus 275. So you bet your 100, you would win 275, and in a car race, that's just you can't do that. It's just there's no value there. Too many things can go wrong to upset his day, and so you would never take those odds. So. But then how much do you want to invest betting against him? Because he is a solid choice. So that's the bettor's peril. Where do you want to go? Do you want to stay out of the race, or do you want to take a stab on a couple long shots? And, the way I see it, in this kind of a race, when you have a high favorite, meaning a big favorite like Harvick, who is a solid choice to win, then you tailor you put your bets down. You don't waste. But you don't risk too much of your money on, and you take a shot with a couple long shots. And there's 2 long shots I'm going to play. I'm going to go back to the guy who won for me at Daytona, Denny Hamlin, and I'm going to come back with the guy I picked last week, Kyle Larson. So that's the 2 guys I'm going to bet, and tell you why. Their odds are Denny Hamlin, you're getting 16-1, and Kyle Larson, you're getting close to 20-1. So those are the kind of odds I like on drivers that I think are very good drivers, and they're kind of fitting in that value range that I like to pick at. So later on, when we do our official picks on the panel, I'll give you either Hamlin or Larson. Those are the 2.
Okay, so Bobby, can you bet $1 for me on each one so I can go to Arby's and get a big meal deal?
Sure. I'll do
That's
that
a personal joke between us 2, yeah. Just bet $1 on each one, because Bobby sent the picture. His girlfriend was unavailable today, so Bobby got to go to Arby's and got what the hell did you get? That looked like it was death.
Oh, that was
on a photo. What was that?
It was a beef brisket sandwich, and it was excellent. It was great.
I was scared because when I tried to call you to get you on the show, it's like, is he still alive, or did he die of a heart attack from eating that?
Oh no!
No. The thing is I'm a team guy, and I come on the air when you guys are wanting to tape, because it's your show that you're allowing me to come on, and I enjoy it. But
no, you're part of our show. You're part of the team.
This is a time. It's a time for me that's really busy, with my work, with what I do. But I'm, it's okay. I love talking and being on with you guys. But let me show you Kevin Harvick now at plus almost 3-1, and then I gave you 2 drivers in the 15-21 range. Let me give you the drivers in between those two spots. Okay, you got Kyle Busch at about 4-1. You got Keselowski at about 8-1. Joey at about 8-1. Chase is about 12-1. Truex about 12-1. And then there's my Hamlin and my Larson, and then now you're getting into the 20s. Almirola, Jones, Boyer, Kurt Busch, and on and on. So, that's going to be the bettors' options this week, for Phoenix, and I think it's going to be a lot better race to watch than last week's. And,
here's my question for you, Bobby. And betting on things like auto racing, is it popularity? I mean, like Chase Elliott has no chance to win this weekend. He's not going to win. The cars are not performing well. Hendrick's off kilter. They're not there. But yet he still is in your top 10. If somebody talk about how much of betting comes into just I like my driver and I'm going to bet on my driver.
Steve, that's a good question you asked, and I'll tell you why it is.
Yeah.
Because the odds makers
I only ask good questions, Bobby. I only ask good questions.
A lot of times you do. A lot of times I think it takes some thinking about to realize it's a good damn question, because you do. You do ask good questions. And the reason why this is a good one is because odds makers have a job to do, and that's to put odds up on a race that they have to anticipate, okay? Bettors, and you've heard me say this on our show in the morning, I have to anticipate, okay? Well, so do odds makers. And if they have a popular driver, they have to anticipate that driver, gets more action than, let's just say, another lesser named driver in the same spot. So because his name is Chase Elliott and he's very well liked, very well known, and so was the guy that just retired, in the booth, Dale Jr. Their odds are going to be a little bit lower.
The guy that just retired. He's the most popular driver, the second most popular driver in the history of NASCAR, and he's the guy that just retired?
Well, I like him
too. Oh, come
Steve,
on, Bobby. Come on.
I like him too, but it just his name didn't come to me for a second, so I stalled a little bit. But so yeah, they anticipate odds. So that's a good question. And so yeah, if you same driver, same quality, same performance level, you put a different name behind Chase Elliott, maybe it's 15-1 or 20 and not 11, not 12.
So to plug you, I'm going to say this is why you need to go to the Sheridan Report and read Bobby's input into it and not just pick your favorite driver because you have a love affair with your favorite driver. True?
Well, true, but I wouldn't come to me just for NASCAR. I mean, I'm having fun.
Well, no, but
this,
all sports. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I just have fun with
NASCAR.
And, yeah, and there's people much more qualified than me. But I will say this: I have a sports betting mind, and I know value. So I'm going to put you in the right area, okay? And then it just comes down to luck in terms of maybe picking some of these winners. But I will tell you, we haven't gone over it yet much this year, but matchup betting is something that a lot of fans like. That means, hey, I'm going to take Keselowski heads up against Logano. Who's going to win that matchup? And then you would bet.
That's a bet? So, and Alex, you and I are going to talk. We're going to let Bobby go here in a little bit because I know he's got other crap to go do. Not crap. I'm sorry. It's a bad word. He's got a lot of stuff to go do to get his show. So we're going to let him get off the air here. But so matchup betting, that's a big thing. It's like I'm just saying Elliott's going to beat Larson.
Yeah, you
weekend.
Can't pick your own matchup.
You can bet on that. You can bet on that.
Yeah, the odds makers will place matchups that they like. That they'll put the matchups. You can't pick your own, but they'll place probably 20 or 30 matchups on each race, and they'll usually put drivers that are similar in standing. So you're going to see a Harvick versus a Kyle Busch matchup. I can guarantee you, and Harvick will be favored a little bit in that. But you could bet that matchup to whoever just finishes higher between those two. And I don't like it because you're laying money, meaning you're risking maybe 115 or 120 just to make 100. And to me, on money line wagering, I don't like that. I think you do that all year round, you're going to lose money. So I don't do that. My job is to make money. So I wouldn't. But a lot of fans like to bet the matchups because it's more of an even money bet. It's not just a luck crapshoot on who's going to win, But, yeah, matchup betting is popular, and I think that's going to be something that – and then remember, we talked about live betting, in-game betting, that maybe after stage one, the winner, whoever wins stage one, okay, well, now let's reset the odds, I read an article this morning about this particular race. They said whoever has the lead starting – stage three. Whoever wins, whoever has the lead starting stage three is going to be tough to gun down. And, that we don't know who that is, yet. But as we're watching, you can kind of be watching for that.
Yeah. And
do you agree with that, Alex? Does that make sense? Whoever has the lead, kind of going into stage 3 is going to be tough to beat, huh?
See, go ahead, Alex. Bobby, did you get the picture I just sent you?
I didn't look at it yet, but I'll look at it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
there you go.
My dad has.
That's what you're going to win me. That's what you're going to win me by the end of the summer. There you go. Sitting right there. Go ahead, Alex.
Alex, before I get off the air, I want to hear your answer to that. The guy, let's just say the first 5 laps into stage 3, will that guy that's winning right at that point of the race, will he win the race?
I'd say there's a pretty good chance of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was reading about this morning, but we got to figure out who's that going to be. You know what I mean?
And I think you're wrong, because I think that plays on a 1.5 miles, but I don't think it plays on a mile track, because you're getting into short track racing again, and there's too much crap. You've got restrictor plate racing, Talladega and Daytona, and you got short track racing where there's just too much crap that happens in the course that you're not accountable for. And the 1.5 miles, you're accountable. Because, there were no cautions in the last race. There were no cautions. Other than the cautions for the stages. Other than that, nobody got banged up. Nobody got hurt. And the dominant car wins. But you get on a mile track like Phoenix, which is hot, sticky. Weather is weird out here in California. Bobby, we and I both know it's pouring rain out here. And my wife had to spend 4 hours on the 405 to go 14 miles, which is nuts. But I think that doesn't hold true on a mile track. Alex, is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair, because I remember at Phoenix, it was the fall of 2017, we saw Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin kind of beat and bang there, which eventually led to Matt Kenseth getting, as of right now, his final Cup win of his career. So, yeah, I think in Phoenix
after he'd been fired. He'd already been fired. Yeah.
Well, Kenseth I think Kenseth at that point that summer said, well, I guess Eric Jones is replacing me. I think he said it before it was announced, kind of thing.
Yeah, but Kenseth would be racing today if he could race. He just doesn't have a car or a sponsor or a ride. He would be racing today.
Oh, Kenseth can still race well if somebody.
Right. He would be. He just doesn't have the staying power. So anyway. So Bobby, I know you got to go.
Yeah, Steve.
You got to do what you got to do.
Before we go, I'm in charge.
Who's your pick? Who's your pick for Sunday?
Yeah, I'm in charge of the panel, and I am going to bet both those drivers, as I told you, but I can only pick one as my official pick, and that's going to be Denny Hamlin. I'm going to go right back with Denny Hamlin. I think he's got a big shot in this race from things that I'm looking at, especially at the price of 16-1. So that's who I'm going to pick. As far as the bet goes, I'm going to stay away from the favorites, the top couple guys. So, but you guys are welcome to take those guys. So let me go to Steve first this time, not Alex. Steve, who is your official pick?
I'm going to go with Harvick. I think this is he dominates this track. He's got this track figured out, and right. I think he's a prick, and he's a good prick. He knows how to race and how to bang and rub, and I think Ford right now is so dominant that I don't think he can touch Harvick.
Okay. All right, Alex?
Well, I'm going to go with the guy who he's always running up there in the front. He won last time he went there. I'm going with Rowdy. I'm going with Kyle Busch, because I was going to pick Harvick.
Oh, wow. That is going to be great. Yeah,
I'll take a different route.
All right. Well, that sounds good. And guys, I'll sign off because I do have to do some stuff, but I appreciate everything, guys, and I'll listen to the rest of the show later on, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, Bobby, we got other things to talk about. So,
all right,
thanks.
All right,
thanks,
bye.
Bobby.
See you, Bobby.
Bye. See you, Alex.
Okay, so Alex,
yes,
talk to me about Dale Earnhardt Jr. Did he have a successful career or not?
Honestly, I'm going to say he did have a successful career because...
Really?
Honestly, I say this, and I know He's only won 26 races, never won a championship. But I look at his circumstances. He kind of became, in terms of being a good ambassador to the sport, he has. A lot of people love him. I definitely look up to him. I think he's a great person. I would have loved to have seen him win a championship for sure, but, you know, a lot of factors. Lost his dad. The things went down between him and Teresa at the end of his days at DEI, the concussions. Going to Hendrick, I felt like in 09-10 he completely had to relearn a lot of things. And then, of course, the concussion in 2012 and then 2016, which I pretty much was the beginning of the end of his career. I think Junior, yeah, and I know a lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, if his dad was alive, he would have. Okay, you could say that, but overall, Junior more so has been great to the sport. He's been able to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. and not his dad. He was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
No, hang on now. No, I don't agree with you. The name Earnhardt has been great to the sport. I mean, you're not lauding Jeffrey Earnhardt, who's really a no talent. I mean, he's in crap equipment. He's probably not going to win anything. He's probably going to go through his entire career and not win a race. But yet you want to laud him as, you know, a great deal, and you want to open up the show with him, and because his name is Earnhardt. So I tend to disagree with you. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. underachieved. Maybe we had too great of expectations of him because he was Dale Sr.'s dad, son. Yeah, I think that, you know, he did not have the talent that his dad had. I mean, his dad would bust his ass to win races. I never saw Dale Jr. He took what came to him, and he got it. He went with Hendrick, who at the time when he went with Hendrick was the team, the group of drivers and team to be with. And he still didn't win. And walk away with it, never having a championship. Does Dale Earnhardt Jr. get in the Hall of Fame?
With his ambassador.
Well, does he get in the Hall of Fame? Does he get in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no?
I think he will, but for other reasons.
Yeah, for other reasons. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Ambassador of the sport.
For the name.
Car owner in the Xfinity Series, won many championships as an owner. His broadcasting, too. He's just a guy who's done a lot for the sport. And
I agree with you 100%. He's done a lot for the sport, but the family's done a lot for the sport. Teresa's done a lot for the sport. You know, I mean, you know, she carried DEI on for as many years as she could with what limited knowledge she had of the sport after, you know, Big E died. But really, truly, I look at the body of work of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and I'm saying, I love him on the air. I love what he's doing. He's classy. He represents the sport well. But in his body of work, does he really belong among the elite? Well, yeah, tough question, isn't it?
Hey man, I grew up a Junior
tough
fan.
Question. I love it. I love it too. Yeah.
You know, like I said, the Earnhardt name's been great to the sport. You know, I'm still looking forward to seeing what Jeffrey does. This is his big chance. This is his big chance to do something great. Fun fact, I think Junior said at one point that Joe Gibbs offered him a deal back then in 2008. I think I heard that somewhere.
Okay.
That would have been interesting.
And that means what? I mean, he had Hendrick equipment. Hendrick is that's the best equipment there is out there for a Chevy point of view. And you know, his family's a Chevy family. They're not going to diss on Chevy. I mean,
how I see Junior's days at Hendrick. 2008 looked pretty decent. 2009 and 2010 he struggled, and I think that had to do with he grew up, you know, under the wing of the family business, under the wing of his father. I just think he had to completely reshape his way of racing. And then I remember first half of 2011 looked strong, consistent, fell off. Still made the chase though, but kind of fell off. 2012 finally gets a win. Consistent season, had the points lead at one point. Concussion sidelined him for a couple races in the chase. 2013, I think he again, no wins, but a consistent season. 2014 went off, 4 wins. I can argue that there's a chance he could have won the title that year. 2015, Junior got 3 wins there, and he looked strong. But when he got into the chase, he slipped a bit. And I won't get into the discussion of that fall Talladega race in 2015 because that finish was just awful for many other reasons. I don't think that was a fair finish. I don't know if you remember that. Basically,
yeah,
they choose NASCAR.
I mean, basically, his father. God, I hate having. I mean, it's a great discussion. It's not a fair discussion. Kind of like the Michael Jackson thing just went on HBO the last 2 days about whether you believe Michael Jackson, and it's one-sided story. His father died protecting Michael Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, that's how he pretty much died. He was blocking for them so that both his DEI cars could win.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, call it what it is. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, he was blocking for Michael and Dale.
Blocking, Jr. Yeah. I mean, and he was going to let Michael and Dale, the lead, duke it out, but he was going to make sure nobody else was going to duke it out with him.
Right.
And it cost him his life. I mean, and I'll never forget the day when Mike Helton says, we lost Dale Earnhardt. I mean, who doesn't know that where you were when that announcement came out that we lost Dale Earnhardt? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's that important to the sport, more so than Petty. I think Earnhardt was more important to the sport than Petty was because Petty won 200 races by, they raced 3 or 4 times a week back then. They raced at Bowman Gray. They raced at Wilkesboro. They drove their cars from track to track basically and did that. So the 200 wins that he accomplished, I think what David Pearson did, racing part-time, winning, 90-something or 104, I don't know how many wins. Pearson's still number 2 on he's still number 2 on the list, correct?
Yep.
And then Gordon. But I think what Pearson did, what Cale Yarborough did, those guys, was more relevant. And then what Earnhardt did, Earnhardt won like 83. Is that about right? What he won?
Earnhardt won.
I'm not Googling it right now, so I don't know.
Yeah, Earnhardt won 76 races.
76? Okay, because, I remember the day that Gordon passed him and put the 3 flag up in his car and got booed.
Talladega, I was there.
Yeah, got booed incessantly for doing it. But for Petty, to me, it was like, you know what? You had the only factory sponsorship going on at that point in time, really. Wood Brothers had Purelator and Ford to some degree, but that was about it. You had Hall and Moody, you had Smokey Yunick, and you had some guys back there that were, but they were all still their own small little shops in a garage somewhere in North or South Carolina. And Petty was a machine. It was a machine. So he was a men among boys. Now it's a bunch of men against men. So what goes on now, I think, is a lot different, more relevant than what happened back then. So, Little Lee, to me, I think he was overhyped. I think he was a good driver. I think Mark Martin was a better driver. And there's another guy who's, Martin never won a Daytona 500 or never won a championship, correct?
Yeah, Mark Martin to me goes down as the greatest driver to never win a championship.
Never win anything. Really?
He won everything but those 2 things, almost.
Well, then you've not won anything. I mean, those are the 2 races.
Yeah. You look at
So,
Martin
all right. Yeah, I mean, and again, I had the privilege of being a part of, from Pfizer, from a sponsorship perspective with Viagra and Pfizer, with Mark Martin's race team, with Roush Racing when they were in their heyday. And it was a privilege because I got to go to the shop. I got to see the shop. And when they came to Indianapolis, I had hot passes. I was in there. And the most amazing thing that people that are listening to us, if anybody is anymore, the morning. Here's what's the most thing I remember most about it. At 6:30 that morning, we had some sponsorship deals going on, so I had to be out there at the track at Brickyard, and Mark Martin's race car is in about 2,000 pieces laying on the ground. They've torn this car apart, and they're rebuilding it the morning of the race. I mean, they're cleaning every part. They're checking every gear. They're looking at all the angles of the fenders and everything, and the car is totally torn. I'm walking to the garage, and I'm like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? You're going to race this car in 3 hours? How are you going to get it back together? And the work these guys do is just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. People don't understand what goes into, and it's not just NASCAR. It's F1, it's Indy, it's every form of racing. Mm-hmm. The due diligence they do on these vehicles to get these cars safe, first off, and to get them ready to run, and how much they tear them apart and break them down, rebuild them, tear them apart and break them down, and how fast these guys can do it. I go in and it takes me 15 minutes to fill up my tank on my truck. And these guys put 4 tires on and put 25 gallons of fuel in less than 12 seconds, or you've had a bad pit stop.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, Phoenix. Let's end it up with Phoenix. What do we got? What do you think? Mile track. We're getting into short track racing. Who's ugly? Who's mean?
Well, there's going to be some beating and banging for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, like I said, I think all of our picks are definitely favorites. Steve has Harvick, Bobby has Hamlin, and I have Kyle Busch. Obviously, Kyle Busch is going to fight very hard to get that win. We all know how Kyle Busch rolls. So before we get to Phoenix, though, I want to make a quick pointer here about the ARCA race that's taking place at Five Flags Speedway. There's a driver entered for Wayne Peterson. He's from Ottawa, Illinois. His name is Tim Richmond. There's a young man named Tim Richmond.
Really?
There's a young man named Tim Richmond making his ARCA debut, and I'm actually very excited for that. I want to see that.
And Tim Richmond is probably one of the most unheralded drivers. I mean, we all knew of his demise, but would you agree that he's probably one of the most unheralded great drivers in NASCAR? I mean, the guy could race on any track, anywhere, anytime, and he was Earnhardt in the making. He would bang you as hard as Earnhardt would. He just didn't have the equipment.
He was a star. He was a superstar, and I think if he had been alive, Earnhart would not have been a 7-time champion. Richmond would have won a couple.
Do you think so? Yeah, that's you know what? That's a great call. That's an absolute great call.
Yeah, I love to think about all these different what-ifs, like how would have Alan Kulwicki and his team had done if he had not died, how Davey Allison would have done, or Adam Petty. You know, I like to think about that kind of stuff. I think it's very unique because you never know. You'll never know. But, you know, it's just something to think about.
And I'll tell you a story about Kenny Irwin sometime, too, because Kenny Irwin's girlfriend at the time was working for me at Pfizer.
Really?
And I was the one that called her and told her that he had passed away. And I did not know that I was the one that called her and told her that he had passed away based on the collision that he had with the wall. And it was heartbreaking to me because I thought somebody already had told her. I was just trying to console her, saying, go home, don't work. You know, but, yeah, it's tough. It's all tough.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah, it was the worst work day I've ever had in my life was when I called her and said, are you okay with Kenny? And what's wrong with Kenny? You know, and she didn't know. You know, because I follow NASCAR, you know, Sirius Radio. We get it all. We follow it, and it was tragic, you know. But that's those guys all sacrificed so that we don't have those problems anymore. Hans devices, full face helmets, safety harnesses. You know, Simpson being up to date on their equipment and everything makes the sport a lot safer and makes it more fun. All right, what do we got? You want to wrap it up?
Sure thing. All right.
So, you got anything else? Do we want to talk about who's the who's the girl in the K&M series? Hailie
Deegan, yes.
Hailie Deegan, you want to talk about her? Let's talk about her. How important is she to NASCAR?
I think she's the future. She won. A lot of people have been talking about her, and she's only 17 years old. She won the Vegas Bull Ring race this past weekend. And Adam Stern tweeted here that Monster Energy is going to continue sponsoring her as she rises up the NASCAR ladder. Quote, "We are huge fans, and Monster is firmly behind her. The Deegans are a big part of the family here. Hailie's a sweet girl, but she's all business on the track." I think Hailie Deegan, we're only going to keep talking about her more and more. And she actually has been signed on to drive in the ARCA Menard Series for some races for Venturini Motorsports.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's talk Jimmy Johnson. I don't know what his bag is. He's not competitive, really. I don't know if it's equipment. I don't know if it's him. And you may have an opinion, and talk about that if you want to. But does Hendrick say, you know what, we're going to take Jimmy Johnson and turn him into a Jeff Gordon? And, Jeff owns part of Hendrick. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Jimmy probably has a share in it too. But do we go right now? Does Hendrick go right now and say, I'm going to get a Hailie Deegan in my camp right now, and I'm going to put her in a car right now?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. As of right now, I actually start to think she might be a prospect under Gibbs. But, again, Joe Gibbs has had a little bit of a history of losing certain developmental drivers like Noah Gregson, William Byron, Darrell Walsh Jr. To me, I think she's going to make a truck start probably near the end of the season, if not next year. I want to see especially her and Natalie Decker race each other. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and I want to get one of the two of them on our show. I'm hoping we can get one of the two. I don't know. Now we're kind of – they're getting big time. Both those two are getting big time. And whether we can get them to come to our low-life show. Well, it's not low-life, but, the fun we have with it.
Too.
But I think right now the time is to grab and snatch these people like this right now. And I think that Hendrick should take Hailie Deegan and put her in a truck, put her in a Xfinity car, and get her up to speed, and then look 3 years down the road and say, yeah, Jimmy Johnson's got 2-3 more years to go. Because Gibbs is probably thinking the same thing. And whether you like Toyota or you like Chevy, I'm a Chevy guy, so I'm going to go Chevy. But you put them into the fold and get them on board right now, kind of like what they did with Chase Elliott, because I don't know that Chase Elliott will ever leave Hendrick. I think Chase Elliott could be doing better right now driving for Stuart Haas. I think he'd be winning more. But I think he's going to be loyal to Hendrick because Hendrick was loyal to him. So you get a Hailie Deegan, or Natalie, and you do that right now. You get these guys these girls in the fold. Because I do believe, like you said, it's the future of the sport.
The important thing I will say about Hailie Deegan, she's 17 years old. Do not rush her. Do not rush her. She can be a star.
No.
Be the next Casey Atwood.
But develop her.
Yes.
I mean, and who can better develop her than Hendrick or Gibbs? Who can
True.
better give her better equipment to run where all she has to focus in is on her driving skills and not the equipment? If you put her in some piece of crap equipment, then she's got to focus on the equipment she's dealing with as well as trying to develop her skills. So I think it's critical for one of these big teams to jump on her as quick as you can.
Yeah, plus in the Xfinity Truck Series, obviously learning under the wings of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Motorsports or Kyle Busch at Kyle Busch Motorsports as well.
Yeah, that's a great question. Does she go with Kyle Busch, who's won more races than anybody other than Richard Petty, totally in the NASCAR package? You say, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch, and I'm going to run under his flag because he builds great trucks, great Xfinity cars. He wins in NASCAR. So where do you go with her?
If anything, I think she's probably going to – she's driving Toyotas now. I would assume she's probably in going to wind up
Same
in the
GGR.
Gibbs, if not now. So
Yeah.
I know Natalie Decker is driving for DGR Crosley, which is another Toyota team as well. I don't think are they affiliated with KBM? I don't know. I don't know that question. But I think Deegan. I think Deegan's definitely going to be a Gibbs product, a Gibbs prospect for sure.
Well, I'm amazed that somebody of the big triumphant of teams, Stewart-Haas, Hendrick, JGR, RCR, has not grabbed her up yet and said, we're going to put you into our package and develop you. I'm surprised that has not happened yet. I don't know. Is there an age requirement there or not? I mean, she's only 17.
I do know to run in the truck series, you can at age 16 and 17, but only on tracks under a mile. Once you're 18, you can run the full schedule.
So that may be the thing with her.
Yeah. So if anything, she may run at Bristol or something like that.
Yep.
If she were to drive a truck this year.
All right.
Yes?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Deegan is definitely an exciting part of the future for NASCAR. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does.
She's winning. I mean, she wins.
Yeah,
I mean, she's running up front and winning. I mean, unlike Danica Patrick, who, qualified well with, Hendrick equipment, because basically she was running for Stewart-Haas Racing when she did that, and she was running Hendrick packages. And Hendrick does well on restrictor plate racing, but, I mean, she was not competitive. And she finished 8th in the race where she qualified on the pole, off the top of my head, if I can remember. That's the highest finish by a female ever in a NASCAR race. I think it's an important step. I'm surprised that somebody in NASCAR has not jumped on her yet and said, we're going to make you part of our developmental package. I'm wondering what's going on there with that.
Hard to say.
Hard to say. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
wrap it up.
All righty. I definitely believe we'll see more female drivers and other diverse drivers come up as well. Anyway, all right. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of the NASCAR Show. We'll talk about the post-race, and we'll talk about how Phoenix went down at ISM Raceway come Sunday. So thank you guys so much for listening. From Bobby Sheridan, Steve Risley, and myself, Alex Gray, we're signing off for the night. We'll see you next time. Let's go racing.